Yo guys, what's going on? It's Shauno here, and today we're going to be looking at some PvP specs for Mage in Phase 2. A lot of people have been asking for some guides on what the best spec is, etc. So I've made some builds for all three specs. We're going to start off with Arcane. Now, Arcane traditionally hasn't been the best PvP spec. We all know this, but recently, obviously in SoD, they've had Arcane Surge, which so far has been like a bit of a 2-minute mage. They go around, they one-shot someone, then they hide for 2 minutes. Well, now with Presence of Mind and Arcane Power, it's going to empower that even more, and they're going to be like a 3-minute mage, but they're going to absolutely destroy someone every 3 minutes. So it looks like it could be a lot of fun. So for this build, we're going with these talents. There's not much flexibility, but we have Arcane Focus for the hit cap. We've got improved arcane missiles so we can channel them without it getting interrupted in PvP. We've got arcane subtlety to reduce the resistance. We've got arcane concentration. We've got arcane resilience. Now from here there's a spare point. So the best thing I've put in is magic absorption. It just gives you a little bit of resistance. Then improved counterspell is very strong. So we've got 2 out of 2 in that. We've got 2 out of 2 improved mana shield. The mana shield's a little bit stronger. Then we've got 2 out of 3 in arcane meditation, 1 in presence of mind, 5 in arcane mind, 3 in arcane instability, and 1 in arcane power. Now for the chest rune, we're running with enlightenment if we're going to use arcane surge, and you could possibly use burnout, but I like the enlightenment playstyle. So this one is running with arcane surge. We're running with arcane blast, missile barrage, and spell power. Now the way this spec is going to work is you'll ramp up arcane blast on someone if you can. You'll use missile barrage procs if you can, and then when you pop arcane power, you're going to use presence of mind, arcane blast, and then you're going to arcane surge. Now if this crits with spell power as well, it's going to destroy someone. Like there's no way anyone would survive this. So it's going to be a bit of a fun build. Outside of the major cooldowns, you're going to be using arcane blast and missile barrage or arcane missiles. You can also leg weave, so you get another leg with living flame if you want to, or icy veins. Now the other option to this is to use regeneration as a healer. Then you can either use living flame or mass regeneration. Mass regeneration in sort of group PvP is pretty strong. Otherwise you would use living flame, especially in 1v1. For the hand rune, you're using arcane blast, but you can also take living bomb or rewind time. For the waist, we're using missile barrage always. I don't think spell frost is going to be good enough not to take missile barrage. And then for the foot rune, if you're being a healer, you can use this new talent. Now the way this talent works is it's a 2-second cast time, which gives you a stored state of energy. And once you've got this stored state, you've got 15 seconds. So it's like an instant heal, but you have to charge up. So it's a 2-second cast, and then you can use the heal. So that could be pretty good for healing in BGs. You could also take mass regen and still have enlightenment or burnout, but obviously for single target healing we'll want to use living flame. For the hand, again, you can use rewind time if you want. If you're healing someone, it's pretty good. Otherwise, if you're doing DPS and you want to heal from damage, we'll take arcane blast, living bomb if you just want to dot people up in between your cooldown. So that's basically the 2 specs that we can use. There's not much flexibility here. There's no point doing sort of hybrid builds and losing arcane power, as arcane power is very strong. So this will be sort of the 3-minute mage. Next we're going to look at fire. Now fire, you have 2 builds here. This build here is utilizing Scorch. So you take 5 out of 5 impact, 5 out of 5 ignite, 3 out of 3 improved fire blast, 2 out of 2 in flamethrowing, 2 out of 2 incinerate, 1 in pyroblast, 3 out of 3 critical mass, 1 in blast wave, 5 out of 5 firepower, and 1 in combustion. Now for this build we don't use fireball at all. The way it works is we're using Scorch, so that's why we have the improved Scorch and the incinerate. Now you're just going to spam Scorch on people and go for the ignite procs. Obviously if you get 2 crits in a row, you're going to have hot streak. You can pop combustion, spam Scorch, and you're going to destroy people. Obviously the chest rune is burnout. It's always going to be burnout. The leg rune is Living Flame. There's an argument in some cases you could take Icy Veins for fast casting. Otherwise, you're going to take Living Flame. For your hands, it's always going to be Living Bomb. For the waist, it's always going to be Hot Streak. And for the feet, it's always going to be Spell Power. The other version of this build is the Fireball build. Now, what we'd do for that is to take the points out of Improved Scorch and the points out of Incinerate and have 5 out of 5 Improved Fireball. Then you have the talents the same as they were before. Now, this build is for sitting back and casting Fireball. It's very, very strong if you're left alone. You can take Icy Veins if you want to use this build to get faster cast times, but if you are focused, you're going to struggle with this build because you can't get the Fireballs off. Scorch in most cases is a lot better because it's a fast cast time, you can move around. In PvP, people aren't that still for too long. That said, if it's a 1v1 and you get a polymorph off, you can probably do a Pyroblast, Fireball, and obviously Hot Streaks as well is going to be giving instant pyros. It's going to be very, very strong, but you're going to be squishy. Now, where would I rank this? I would say it's better than Arcane, outside of Arcane's big cooldown, but it's probably not as good as Frost, and we're going to look at that now. So for Frost, we're going to take these talents. Got 5 out of 5 improved Frostbolt, 1 out of 3 elemental precision because you want to get the hit cap, 2 out of 2 improved Frost Nova, 3 out of 3 permafrost, 3 out of 3 frostbite, 5 out of 5 ice shards, 1 in cold snap, 2 out of 3 of piercing ice, 5 out of 5 in shatter, 2 out of 2 in arctic reach, 1 in ice block and 1 in ice barrier. Now those points are flexible. These two are flexible. You could use them in winter's chill, could use them in piercing ice. Those are the two I would recommend. I go normally for piercing ice. You could also have 1 in piercing ice and 1 in winter's chill. Now, ice barrier and ice block and cold snap. The reason this build is so strong is because ice barrier, for one, so far we haven't had ice barrier, we've had mana shield. Now mana shield is rubbish when you're against cast. Ice barrier we're going to keep up most of the time, so when you start the BG, you're going to put it up because it lasts 1 minute. So you'll probably get 2 uses out of ice barrier because the 30-second cooldown, you've still got it up for another 30 seconds. Then you're going to pop it again after you've taken damage. So it's very, very strong. You can also cold snap and you've got ice block as well. All in all, this is very, very strong. Now, the runes we're going to use for this one is Fingers of Frost, Icy Vein, Ice Lance, Spell Power, and the waist rune we've got Missile Barrage because Frost Firebolt does a dot. We don't really want to dot the enemy and it's not doing that much damage. Spell Frost is an option, but in this case Missile Barrage could be very good to use. So our waist rune is a bit open for debate. That said, we can use these same talents and move it around a bit. So another option is we take Regeneration, we take Living Flame, and we take Spell Frostbolt. Now what this does is you're still doing your same shatter combos with the ice shards, so you're doing big crits, but you're doing it with Spell Frostbolt, which is arcane damage and frost damage. So with regeneration up on yourself, you're going to be healing yourself. Now we take Living Flame as well because of all the slows. They're going to take a lot of damage from Living Flame and it's going to heal you up a lot. But this build also has a lot of potential. So I think it's between this build, which I can see being very strong, especially against melee. You're going to kite them. When they do hit you, you've got regen up. You're going to Living Flame whilst they're slowed, which means you're constantly getting healed. You've got Spell Frostbolt. For those big shatter combos, you're going to get healed from that. So it's a very, very strong build. You can also use Fingers of Frost for your Ice Lance shatter combos. You've got Icy Veins, which can be reset with Cold Snap. I think Frost Mage is going to be one of the strongest in PvP. It always has been. And people talk about how much more damage Arcane does or how much more damage Fire does. But they forget 4 elements of PvP is always about defensives. You've got Ice Barrier, you've got Ice Block, you've got Cold Snap, you've got Permafrost, you've got Frostbite, you can poly people. You've got so much control with this build, and if you are taking the healing, you can heal yourself as well. This could be the best version of Frost Mage we've ever seen. RMP has always been strong in the game. Now imagine having a mage that can heal. Like, I can't see how this build won't work. It's going to be so strong. So I would highly recommend that you check out Frost PvP in the next phase. You could try out the healing. With these Spell Frost bolts, you're going to heal for a lot. But obviously, the whole idea of this build is you take control of the situations and slow people and everything else. Now, quickly, we'll run through some gear. So, Pre-BiS Gear, basically, you're looking for items with stamina as the most important thing. If you can get every single item with stamina, then you're doing well. So for that reason, we've got the head. It's got 12 stamina and 12 intellect. This is one of the best heads you can get pre-raid. The neck, we've got the Ghost Shards Talisman, which is 9 stamina and 5 damage. The shoulders, we're taking, as Frost, we're taking Azure shoulders. Now, if you're Fire or Arcane, you might take these 9 intellect, 9 stamina, as there's no other stamina shoulders with Arcane or Fire damage. Therefore, these would be the next best for those spells. For the cloak, again, we've got the Cloak of the Eagle. It's the best pre-raid because it's got stamina. For the chest, we've got this new really strong Robes of the Lich, which drops in RFD. It's a massive 20 stamina and 12 spell damage. Very, very strong robe, one of the best you can get, and it's pre-BiS. Now for the braces, we've got the Warsong Gulch Exalted braces. If you don't have Exalted, you can get the Sergeant Mage's Silk Cuffs. Either of these, once you've got the rank that's required. Otherwise, you can take the Wrists of the Eagle. For the weapon, we're just using the Dagger of Willing Sacrifice and the Tome of Cavern Lore. These are from BFD, so you probably have them anyway. If you don't, you can just find any weapon that you can use until we get the ones with stamina. For the gloves, we're using the black fingerless gloves. If you don't have these, then you'll just have to make the Dreamweave gloves. But the Dreamweave gloves don't have any stamina, and we want to aim to have stamina in every slot. The belt, we're taking Belt of the Eagle, 9 stamina, 9 intellect. When you've got the rep, you'll get this Defiler's Cloth Girdle, which is very good. It's got 4 stamina and it's got 14 spell damage. For the pants, we're using the Soul Leech pants. If you don't have those, again, it's Pants of the Eagle. For the boots, pre-raid, we're going to use the Epic Boots because we want the hit, but also the on-use ability is really strong in PvP. For the rings, we're just going to take the Advisor's rings. You can have one level 38 and one level 28. For the trinkets, we're using Rune of Perfection and the Void Pearl. And then for the wand, we've just got this Wand of the Eagle, which gives 4 intellect and 4 stamina. I can't tell you which is the best gear where. It depends on the situation, but really you want to prioritize having stamina on every piece of item. Then, once you've got stamina, if you get spell damage, that's really good. If you get intellect, that's also good. Other stats don't really matter in Pre-BiS Gear, so just go for the highest stamina ones. You'll want to survive in PvP, that's the idea. Now for the BiS, we've got the Tailoring Head. It's got 10 stamina, it's really good in the raid. It's going to be BiS for both. For the neck, we're still keeping the Ghost Shards Talisman. The reason of this is for the stamina. Now, if you wanted to lose some stamina for more damage, you can use the Piston Pendant, but we want survivability. For the shoulders, it's the Synthetic Mantle, which is the same for the PvE BiS, so you'll want these regardless. For the cloak, it's the Bloodrock Cloak. This has the most stamina. It has a bit of intellect and spell power. For the set, we want to use the Hyperconductive set. We've spoke about this in the past. It's got armor, it's got stamina. It's very, very good in PvP. For the braces, it's the Warsong Gulch braces. If you don't have these, obviously you'll want to grind them up. The main hand, we have the same as the PvE BiS. It's good. It's got 7 stamina and 19 spell power. Very, very strong. For the offhand, we use the Celestial Orb. It's still good in PvP, although it doesn't have any stamina on it. We're going to take it. For the gloves, we're going to use the Fighter Ace gloves, which drop in the raid. They're designed really for Warlock tanks, but they've got extra armor, stamina, and some spell damage, so it's really good. For the belt, then we've got the normal Defiler's Cloth Girdle. As I said, it's got 4 stamina, 4 intellect, and 14 spell power. Perfect for what we need. For the legs, it's the set robe, same as the boots is the set robe. For the ring, you're going to have the looped ring of whichever spec you're using. You'll either use the fire one, the arcane one, or the frost one, depending on which spec you use. For the other ring, we're going to use this one that has 6 stamina and 8 spell power on. It drops from the raid. For the trinkets, we're going to use the new trinket in the raid. Got 6 intellect, 12 spell power, and the on-use ability. We're also going to use Rune of Perfection, the level 40 version, as it's got some stamina and it decreases the magical resistance of your spell targets by 20. And then lastly, the wand, we're just using this wand as it's the most DPS and it gives 9 spell power, but the wand isn't that important. Overall, how is Mage looking in PvP? It's looking very, very strong. All 3 builds are good. They all have their own situational use. For example, fire is very good in a pre-made Warsong Gulch because you can living bomb everyone, you can combust, and you can do big damage with fireball. Arcane is also very good in pre-mades because you can one-shot the flag carrier, you can one-shot people. There's nothing that's gonna survive an Arcane Mage in PvP. Let me tell you this, if I was out in a BG as a Frost Mage or out in the world and I saw an Arcane Mage with Arcane power on, I would just ice block because I know exactly what's coming. They will one-shot everyone, so be wary of that. And then of course Frost is just going to be amazing. You can use Missile Barrage in the waste with regeneration, you can use Spell Frostbolt with regeneration. There's a lot of options there. You can use Fingers of Frost instead and just spam Ice Lance. It's going to be so good and so much better than what we're used to. I'm honestly gassed, guys. Phase 2 is going to be amazing for Mage. It's going to be amazing in PvE. It's going to be amazing in PvP. And I would just say enjoy every second of it. I just want to say a thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel. I came back to YouTube recently after 8 years of not playing WoW, not playing any games. I'd just come back for SoD. I thought, hey, I'll make a video or 2, but the channel has been going really, really well. So I just want to thank everyone who subscribed, commented, and liked the videos, and I'm happy making this content for you. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.